Welcome to First Down Punts, a show about the on-field and off-the-field news in the world of pro football, as well as how it relates to fantasy football all season long. Thanks for joining in, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And now, here is your host, Orcus.
And welcome back for another episode of First Down Punts. I'm your host, Orcus. Today, we're going to be doing our final mock draft for the 2025 NFL Draft coming up on Thursday now. It's Sunday night, Easter. Happy Easter, everybody. I'm recording this now, but I'm going to try and get it out by tomorrow evening. But we're going to go ahead and kick this off. We got a lot going on in this draft. There's a lot of trades, a lot of movement around, a lot of players getting drafted later or earlier than expected based off where I rank them and based off what I think could happen. It's all going to play a factor into it. We might even see a player get traded or two from the team, one team to another. But we're going to kick it off here with Tennessee as the number one pick, and they are going to take Cam Ward, quarterback out of Miami. I don't think there's much question to this. I've said this before. He reminds me of a small Big Ben. I don't think Tennessee has much of a choice here. They need a quarterback because the Mayo man is not cutting it. So we got them taking Cam Ward. We're going to move on to number two. That is Cleveland is on the clock, and they are going to take cornerback Travis Hunter. Originally, I had them take Abdul Carter in our first draft, in our first mock, but just based off everything you're hearing, everything that's going on out there, I think with Myles Garrett and the defensive line they have, they're okay with that. They feel confident with that. And if they can get a guy that can play two positions, as I said before, in receiver rankings, quarterback rankings, mock draft, I think Travis Hunter should be drafted as a wide receiver, but I'm all good with him playing 30, 35 plays on each side and maybe even up to 40 per side, but you'll see what happens. But at the end of the day, Cleveland takes Travis Hunter. We move on to number three. New York Giants on the clock. What are they going to do? Are they going to – what's this? Hold on. I got a phone call. Hello? Oh, you want to make a trade? Who is it? San Francisco? Oh, what are you willing to offer? Okay. I think we could do that. All right. I'm going to send it in. All right, thanks. Bye. All right, so the Giants on the clock get a call from San Fran and are making a trade. San Francisco is sending picks 11, their second-round pick 43, and a 2026 third-rounder for pick 3. And, I'm sorry, that was a 2026 second-rounder for pick number 3. So San Fran moves all the way up to number 3 and drafts Abdul Carter. 49ers fans rejoice. Clap your hands, boys. Good move, San Fran. I like it a lot. Back on to the regular scheduled program. New England is on the clock at number 4. They got a lot of things they could do. They're hoping somebody calls. Maybe they can trade back and draft one of these other tackles because they know they need offensive line. But they're going to go ahead and stick it out because no one's willing to pay up for this pick. And they are going to take Will Campbell. That's why I drafted to him the first round. That's why I still have the number 1 tackle on my board. And that's why I think New England's taken, without a doubt, unless Hunter or Carter happens to fall. So New England gets their left tackle of the future, and we move on to number 5, Jacksonville. Now, a big part of me wanted to say they're drafting Ashton Jeanty, because I think they're about sick of ETN. But with a new head coach, Etienne's not a terrible player. He's just not as dominant as they thought he was going to be when they drafted him as early as they did. And between injuries and lack of dominance, I think they're just going to let him walk at the end of his contract. And Bigsby's either going to take over or be the backup to somebody else that they draft. But right now, I'm going to have them pass on Jeanty and take who most people haven't taken. That's Mason Graham, because if there's one thing Jacksonville needs, it's defensive help. So we got them getting Mason Graham, defensive tackle out of Michigan, solidifying that defensive line. And we're moving on to number 6, Las Vegas. All the talk right now, they're taking Ashton Jeanty. I'm going to believe they're going to do it because as much as I like Sincere McCormick, I don't think he's Ashton Jeanty. And being that they could take Mimbu, they could take Collins or Simmons, or they could end up taking one of those defensive ends. But I think they know Jeanty's probably one of the last special talents on the board. They could take Warren, but they already got Bowers. So I'm going to give them Ashton Genty here at number 6. We got a stud running back for the next at least 5 years, and someone we're not going to have to worry about. Pete Carroll's got his next guy in line ready to take over and carry the load. And then some aggravating carries from Sincere McCormick. But on to number 7. Jets are on the clock. Now, AG, Aaron Glenn, first-year head coach. Tanner Engstrand, offensive coordinator, used to be the QB coach in Detroit, went with AG, and they could be looking at some offensive pieces. They could be looking at Tyler Warren. They could be looking at Armand Membu, like I said, one of the tackles. You know, AG's a defensive guy. He could be looking at one of these corners and one of these defensive ends or something. But hold on. The phone's ringing. Hello? Who's this, Indianapolis? You want to come up? What do you got? Oh, okay. Yeah. We can do that. I'll do that all day. All right, send it over. Thanks. Bye. Okay. So Indianapolis has moved up. Indianapolis is trading that 14th pick, their third-round pick, number 80, and their 2026 first-round pick to the Jets for number 7 in this year's draft, their fifth-round pick, 145, and a 2026 sixth-round pick. So the Colts are moving up. Wonder who they're drafting. Oh, wait, we already know. It's Tyler Warren, tight end out of Penn State. Colts are getting Anthony Richardson some help. They're getting one of the premier talented players in this draft, and they have made a move. Finally, they do something besides sit on their fucking hands and make a fucking move up. So they get Tyler Warren, get their stud tight end for the next 10, 12, 15 years, and are ready to fucking go. Help that guy out that you got behind center. You should have let him sit a year, but now you got to get him some talent. Pittman ain't dominant, and the rest of those guys are just guys. I like them. They all got skills that you can use at receiver, but they don't have a tight end to speak of that I'm willing to talk to anybody about. Now they do. His name's Tyler Warren. On the board, number 8, Carolina. Carolina's sitting happy right now. They got a lot of options. They didn't get any of those guys. They could take Torrey McMillan. They could take one of these defensive ends, linebackers, Jahad Campbell, Jalen Walker, Mike Green, Shamar Stewart. Any of these guys could end up going right now. But they just had a gift fall in their laps when the Raiders passed them and the Colts moved up instead of the Jets taking them. That's Armand Membu, tackle out of Missouri. So they get him in number 8, help Bryce Young stay protected, help Chuba get some open lanes, and keep on moving. Ready to be preparing for day 2 with their second-round pick. Number 9, New Orleans. On the clock. Saints are on the clock. Derek Carr's got a bad shoulder, bum shoulder. Don't know if he's playing. Are they going to draft quarterback here? Could it be Shador? Could it be Jackson Dart? First thing you need to do is replace those offensive linemen. They're retired. One left free agency. You got a lot of holes along that offensive line. It don't matter who's playing quarterback if they're laying on their back all day. So we're going to have them go out here and take Josh Simmons, who could be the number 1 tackle if he didn't get hurt last year. If he would have had a full season, I think people would have had him above Membu and possibly above Campbell. So Josh Simmons is the pick out of Ohio State, tackle, ready to start, left tackle, day 1. Can start at any position on the line probably, but they are building back up that offensive line because Kamara needs to run behind it. Whoever else they end up getting a running back maybe. And whoever's playing quarterback needs to be able to fucking stand upright. Josh Simmons is the pick, and that's going to help that cause. Bears on the clock. They missed out on Genty. They missed out on Tyler Warren. Did they go defense and help that out with that division they play in? Or did they look to the offensive side of the line or offensive side of the ball? I think that's what they do. They've seen 3 tackles go in the top 9. I think they're going to make it a 4th and take Kelvin Banks Jr. and solidify their offensive line. Between the trade for Jonah Jackson and Joe Tooney, they got the Braxton kid from Braxton, what's his name? Miller, I think, or Braxton Jones. I forget what his damn name is right now. But and signed the center out of Atlanta, Dahlman. They solidify their offensive line with this pick. And now they don't have to worry about who's protecting Caleb Williams anymore. Can he stand upright? Now it's up to Caleb to do what he's supposed to fucking do. And with Ben Johnson there as the new head coach, he knows how important offensive linemen are. They missed out on the superstar running back. I don't think they have Omari and Hampton this high, and they're going to go ahead and solidify their offensive line and worry about what's going on next round. Number 11 was San Francisco's pick. They moved up. The Giants are on the clock now after dropping back from 3 to 11 and picking up some extra picks. And this has worked out perfectly for them. Their only concern was what happens with New Orleans at 9. They passed on the quarterback to try to start building their offensive line, which is the way you should build a fucking team. But the Giants sitting here, and they have their choice. Who do they want? Dart, Shedeur Sanders? I got them taking Shedeur Sanders here. I wouldn't draft him this high. I don't think the Giants would be able to pass on him if their plan went to perfection like this just happened here. They just jumped in front of where Pittsburgh could probably trade up to, unless the Bears ended up trading back with them, which I didn't have them doing that. But they get Shedeur at number 11. They got some extra picks in the draft, and they're ready to go as far as moving forward as with their quarterback, with Winston and Russ, and now Shedeur, which means Winston could be on the move or getting cut, or they could keep all three and let them have the ultimate, like what they call it, the prayer huddle up in the Giants Stadium all day. So good for them. Shedeur's off the board. Dion's happy. Shedeur's happy. Giants fans are happy, hopefully. And we move on to number 12 as Dallas Cowboys on the clock. Didn't get Genty. Warren's not there. 4 tackles are already gone. They need offensive linemen. They need some places on defense, maybe a second receiver. Torrey McMillan's still here. But something they do need is some defensive linemen. And I said this in my defensive line rankings, that I don't think Derek Harmon is far behind Mason Graham. I think Derek Harmon is another special tackle, defensive tackle, or a special talent, a defensive tackle. And the Cowboys are going to draft him right here and be happy to move forward. They understand what it means to win in the trenches. I give them credit on that. They don't do much right in my mind as far as how they run their team, but understanding how important the trenches are. And this is only going to help Micah Parsons. So they get that solidified and they move on. And now on to number 13, Miami is on the clock. But we have another trade. Who is it? Tampa Bay? All right, let me know. Send it over. Miami is trading picks 13 and 7th round pick 224 to Tampa Bay, and Miami receives pick 19, their 3rd round pick 84, and a 2026 3rd round pick. So Tampa Bay gives up 2 3rd-rounders, gets a 7th rounder back, and moves up 6 spots, and they are going to draft Jalen Walker. Linebacker, defensive end, whatever you want to call him, out of Georgia. Like I said, he's either 1 or 2 on most people's board. Tampa Bay needs a pass rush. Tampa Bay needs a linebacker. They can put him at either position and have him play, and he's going to be just fine. They keep him close to home. He ain't going too far from Georgia to Tampa. And happy as hell for Tampa Bay to get them a defensive end there. Or like I said, defensive end, linebacker, whatever you want to play. Defensive stud is what I should say. And we move on. The Jets are back on the clock now. They traded out of 7 with Indianapolis, and Indy came up and got Ty Warren. And now Jets are on the clock, and they're the ones picking Nick Emmanwori, safety out of South Carolina. Combine, freak, athlete, stud, and the tape backs it up. You go watch it. Like I said, he's going to be 1 or 2 on most people's boards. I have him as 2 because I love Malachi Starks. I think he's a superb fucking player, and he's been doing it for a while now. But Nick Emmanwori has tons of talent, and he is big. I think he's like 6'3", 220, huge. And Tampa Bay, the Jets, Aaron Glenn is going to be real happy to have this guy on the back end. I can tell you that much. On to number 15, Atlanta. Atlanta, what you doing? You only got, I think, 5 picks in the draft. They could trade back, but I don't think they could pass the talent of Mykel Williams right here, defensive end out of Georgia. So you just had a couple Georgia boys go at 13 and 15. Mykel Williams flying off the edge and headed to Atlanta. He's staying in state. He ain't even got to go far. Probably drive there. Might ride his bike. You never know. He's a hell of an athlete. He might just run. On to number 16, Arizona. On the clock. I don't think Arizona's going to pass this guy. It's hard to believe that he's going to be here possibly when the draft actually happens, but that's linebacker Jahad Campbell. You looking for a 12-year linebacker? This is your guy. He can play middle linebacker. He can play outside linebacker. I'm playing him at middle linebacker personally because I think he can do it. I think he's an incredible linebacker. And for Arizona to get him here at 16, that's a win. That's all you got to say. That's a win. They pick him, they hand in their ticket, and they're real happy. They move on. On to number 17, Cincinnati. Cincinnati is on the clock. Trey Hendrickson, we don't know what's going on. Sam Hubbard retired. They got the one young defensive end. I can't remember his name right now, but I think they're going to get another young defensive end, and that's Mike Green. Defensive end, possibly outside linebacker out of Marshall. He'll probably be playing DN for Cincinnati because they run a 4-3. But definitely a talented kid. Speed off the edge. That's for damn sure. On to number 18, Seattle on the clock. Seattle's sitting here pretty. They got a lot of options. They could draft linemen here. You got the Gray Zabel, Tyler Booker, maybe even Connerly up this high. You got some tons of defensive players you could take. But what I think Seattle's going to do is help out Sam Darnold. And that's by drafting tight end Colston Loveland out of Michigan. The dude's a receiver playing tight end. He's a little bit bigger than normal wide receiver, but he is fluid as a motherfucker. And they get a weapon for Sam Darnold to help out JSN and help out that offense, period. And everybody's going to be happy to have him. Jim Harbaugh's a little sad right now. Sean Payton might even be a little sad right now because they didn't get to draft him. But Seattle's real happy. And we're going to go ahead and move on to number 19. This is Miami with Tampa's pick that they just made a trade back with. Miami still gets to help their offensive line, didn't have to reach for him, and gets Tyler Booker, guard out of Alabama. Mean, nasty, run blocking, road plowing, grading, whatever you want to fucking say. I love Tyler Booker. He's one of my favorite players in this draft. I would have loved him to fall to 28 to Detroit. I think he can go as high as 11 at San Fran. So Miami getting him here at 19 is an excellent pick. They help that interior offensive line, try to keep Tua upright, try to open some more holes for Achane. And we move on to number 20, Denver. Now, Denver, everybody wants Denver to draft a running back right here. If Amari in Hampton falls, we got to have him. Personally, I think if you're drafting a running back for Sean Payton's offense, you take Travion Henderson. I love Travion Henderson. He's number 2 on the board as far as running backs go. But I don't think Sean Payton would be able to pass up Teteroa McMillan, wide receiver out of Arizona. You got Cortland Sutton on one side, McMillan on the other. Marvin Mims flying downfield at 1,000,000 miles a minute. Evan Ingram doing a short crossing route. And whatever running back they either draft or already have coming out of the backfield, Sean Payton's going to open his offense for Bo Nix with his running capability. And they're going to be fucking dangerous next year. You get this guy, McMillan, to go with that offense. Watch out, AFC West. 21, Pittsburgh on the clock. Didn't get Shador. Giants dropped back, got him at 11. Jackson Dart's sitting here. How much do they like him? Do they like Jalen Milroe more? Would they like to trade back? Would they like to do something else? I got them doing something else. I think Pittsburgh's going to be patient. Maybe they sign Aaron Rodgers on Tuesday before the draft. I don't know, man. Maybe they already know they're going to sign Aaron Rodgers, but they don't want to give their hand away, and they told Rodgers, shut the fuck up. Maybe they're trading for Kirk Cousins. Maybe they're like, Mason Rudolph's our guy. I don't know what Pittsburgh's doing. I'm not going to lie to you, but I know what they're doing right here at 21, and that's taking defensive tackle Kenneth Grant out of Michigan. One of my favorite players, man. I love this dude. Fast, explosive, fucking huge and strong and great against the run. He's going to help out that Pittsburgh defense to keep it going, keep people not worried about keep people off of linebackers and shut down the middle of their fucking defense. So, Kenneth Grant goes to Pittsburgh. We move on to the Chargers. While Roger Goodell was finishing saying Kenneth and Grant, defensive tackle Michigan, Jim Harbaugh ran up and was standing behind him with his ticket because he can't believe Will Johnson's still sitting here, cornerback out of Michigan. He coached Will Johnson a couple years ago. He knows what the fuck Will Johnson's about. Other than the injuries, There ain't nothing to worry about with Will Johnson. And Jim Harbaugh just ran up there immediately. He ran out the back room. Them khakis flying, coming out. Give me Will Johnson. Case closed. Let's get this motherfucker moving on. Green Bay on the clock. Number 23. Green Bay's got a lot of options. They got a lot of options. They get a defensive end here. They can get a linebacker here. Maybe not linebacker, but they can get a defensive line, offensive line, maybe a corner. That's what I got them taking right here. They just saw Will Johnson go off the board. They're going to do the same thing and take Jahdae Barron, cornerback out of Texas. Do I like this? No, because I like Jahdae Barron, and I hate the fucking Packers. But that's what they need, especially if they're talking about trading Jair. But they need a corner even if they don't trade Jair. Jahdae is going to be the next guy on the list, and it's going to help that Packers defense, especially against this offense. The offense is in that division, the offensive in that conference, and if they make the playoffs and however far they can go, maybe in the AFC. But you get a top flight corner and man-to-man corner like Jahdae Barron at 23, you say thank you and you go sit down and shut the fuck up. On to 24. Minnesota on the clock. Oh, hold on. Phone's ringing. Give me a second. Hello? Yes. Oh, you want to come up? All right, what do you offer me? Okay, Cleveland, I like that, how that sounds. You go ahead and send that over, Stefanski. Tell me what you're talking about. Actually, tell Goodell what the hell you're talking about because I already like it. Talk to you later. Here we are. Cleveland calling Minnesota. Minnesota's only got 4 picks. So, hell, they need to trade back anyways, get some more picks. And Cleveland is coming to get their quarterback. Minnesota trades picks 24 and a 2026 6th-round pick to the Cleveland Browns for picks 33, their 3rd-round pick 94, and a 2026 2nd-round pick and 5th-round pick. Minnesota gets a haul. Cleveland gets to move up and draft their quarterback, and that's Jackson Dart, quarterback out of Ole Miss. I already told you, this dude is Brock Purdy's twin brother. I like Brock Purdy a lot. We all know he shouldn't have been Mr. Irrelevant. Jackson Dart is the type of player I'm looking for. Guy that knows what the hell he's doing with the ball. Great accuracy, 25 yards and in. Needs to improve a little bit on deep ball, but that's all right. When you got Travis Hunter and you got Jerry Jeudy running all those underneath cut routes, in routes, out routes, and David Njoku's big ass running down the middle of the field, you're going to be all right. They know how to build offensive lines in Cleveland. Stefanski knows how to protect his quarterback, other than Deshaun Watson, but he falls apart walking down the stairs, so I don't know what to say about him. But Jackson Dart, welcome to Cleveland. You got Travis Hunter to throw to. Have fun. On to number 25, Houston Texans on the clock. We all know the story. They traded their entire offensive line. They signed a few guys back. I think they're going to keep improving that offensive line and get tackle Josh Connerly out of Oregon. This guy can play any position on the line. I like him a lot. I think he's going towards the end of the 1st round in the draft. And for Houston to get him here to help the offensive line after the shambles they've been in, I think that's exactly what they need. On to number 26, LA Rams. Now, I think if you would have saw Shador make it here, Rams would have definitely picked him. I think Jackson Dart would have made it here. The Rams could have picked him. But instead, they're going to go ahead and help that defense out. They got the 2 young kids, Verse and Fisk, last year. Well, now they're going to add to that and get Shamar Stewart, defensive end out of Texas A&M. Happy to go along, happy to play defense, happy to keep moving. On to number 27, Baltimore Ravens on the clock. If there's one thing Baltimore knows how to do, it's draft safeties. And the fact that this guy is still on the board is a damn shame. But the way the trades have happened, people moving around, this guy's still on the board right now. And as a Detroit Lions fan, even though we got 2 good safeties, I would have still been yelling at the screen for us to pick him. And that's Malachi Starks being drafted by the Baltimore Ravens. There you got Kyle to Hamilton, but they like to play him down in the box. That's cool. Put Malachi back there. He's got your back end. Baltimore gets possibly another Ed Reed and smiles as they walk away. Harbaugh boys are killing it today. Number 28, my Detroit Lions. We got some things we can do. Defensive ends, wide receiver. I just take Emeka Egbuka in the first mock I did. I changed that up. I think either he could go earlier, he could go later than this, but I think he's going to go around here somewhere. But I feel like there's some talent here that wasn't there the last time I did a mock, and that's Nick Scorton, defensive end out of Texas A&M. You just saw Shamar Stewart go. This is a guy on the other end. And they just spread the wealth at Texas A&M last year. They got a great defense, a great defensive line, and this is just one of the guys, a hell of a run stopper, got good pass rush capabilities. And on the other end of Hutch with Akeem and fucking Reader in the middle, I think it's going to help that defensive line out a lot, and be happy to move forward with them. Number 29, Washington. Washington Commanders on the clock. We know about Jaden Daniels and the superstar, Terry McLaurin's resurgence. Zach Ertz look alive again, even though he's 102. But one thing they lacked in was a little bit of defense. And they're going to draft one of my favorite guys, the number 4 corner on my board. That's Maxwell Hairston, cornerback out of Kentucky. Long player, tough player, strong player. I like him a lot. I think he is the 4th corner off the board. I think he's going to go somewhere between 25 and 40. And whoever gets him is going to be happy. In this case, it's Commanders. And fuck them because they beat my Lions last year in the NFC. But I like what they're doing over there as a football fan. On to number 30, Buffalo Bills. What are they going to do? They draft a receiver here to keep trying to build that core up? Or do they move on? They did lose their superstar shoeless man in Mac Hollins. Shoeless Mac Hollins. That should be his name, like Shoeless Joe Jackson. But I think they're going to go a little defense here and get the turnover machine, Xavier Watts, safety out of Notre Dame. This guy's awesome. You put him out there, you still got Hamlin. I know they could have drafted corner, which might be their position, but I think you can put Watts all over the field and be real damn happy he's out there every single play. So Buffalo gets Xavier Watts, and Kansas City is on the clock. Kansas City, what you doing? You going to draft a tight end? You going to get Mason Taylor? What? Oh, no, you're not? Oh, okay. Sorry. What you going to – oh, you're going to draft this Walter Nolan guy, defensive tackle out of Ole Miss, right? What? Surprise, surprise. You get a superstar to go next to Chris Jones at 31 because there's so much talent defensive line. He just fell. But what do? Kansas City improves their defense some more, and we go on the last pick of the first round. That's Philadelphia, and they're going to take a chance here because that's what Philly does. They're going to take James Pierce Jr. to add to that defensive line, to that pass rush, and a lot of people are pissed right now because James Pierce Jr. is probably a top 10 talent, but with the off-the-field stuff, the attitude issues, and just a couple other things that, people are talking about. I'm not here to slander people's names. I'm just here to tell you what type of things what type of things are being said. So, but getting him at 32 when he's a top 10 talent with the room they have, with the talent they have, with the coaching they have, with Fangino, I think James Pierce Jr. couldn't have landed in much of a better spot. There's probably 1 or 2 places maybe that would have been better, but this is great for him and great for the Super Bowl champs. On to round 2. Well, Cleveland moved up. We know that. And they traded back with Minnesota. So Minnesota starts off day 2, and they're going to help their defense by taking Siobhan Revel Jr., quarterback out of East Carolina, long, physical, tons of talent. I think he was 6 on my board, 5 on my board, 5 on my board. And hell of a player. Like I said, hell of a player. Like him a lot. Not liking the Minnesota's getting him, but I like this guy a lot. And if that lets you know anything, I'm drafting him to a team that I don't like, but I do like him, and I think this is the best move for them. If Xavier Watts would have been here, he would have been the pick. Getting Siobhan Revel Jr., go out there as man-to-man corner and be ready to roll day 1. Minnesota likes that. And they picked up some extra picks along the way. On to number 34, the New York Giants. Back on the clock. They traded out of 3 to 11. Still got Shador. Now they're up at 34. And they're going to help Shador by getting Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver out of Ohio State, who I said is the most pro-ready wide receiver, short of Travis Hunter probably. Just route running, everything about this guy I love. Everything. I don't know if he'll be here in all honesty when the real draft comes. But if he is, I think that's exactly what the Giants should do if they ended up drafting Shador and did what I did in the first round. To go get him another weapon to go with Malik Neighbors and Emeka Egbuka. I don't want to hear no shit about he ain't got enough talent around him. At the end of the day, Giants get a quarterback and a wide receiver to pair up with Malik Neighbors. They should be happy campers. Number 35, Tennessee, back on the clock. Cam Ward was our first pick overall. Got their quarterback. Mailman is out of here, and we're going to help out Cam Ward. I know he loves Calvin Ridley and Traylon Burks, but we're going to go ahead and give him Matthew Golden, wide receiver out of Texas. 4.28 speed, flying down the field. I am not as high as some of these other guys, but I do think this is where he should be going in this area. You know, early to mid-second round pick, maybe a little bit later, maybe into the second round, but definitely I feel like a second-round pick. And for Tennessee to get him here, to go with Calvin, to go with that offense, they got good decent running backs back there with Spears and Pollard, enough to hold the offense together while he's winging it around to Calvin Ridley and downfield Matthew Golden with that big arm. We move on to number 36, Jacksonville. Jacksonville, they took Mason Graham, chalk pick for most people. Well, they're going to help the back end of that defense now. You get the line first, then you get the back end. And that is going to be by taking Trey Amos, corner out of Ole Miss, physical tackling machine. And Jacksonville could use some people to know how to fucking tackle. Other than that, they're happy to have him. They're building up that defense because that's what they really need to do. We're on to number 37, Las Vegas. Las Vegas, what are you going to do? Let's give Geno another weapon. They probably would have took Matthew Golden here if he was available, but we're going to give him Luther Burden III. Mini Debo, who, Steve Smith, Debo-type player, physical, shorter receiver. Debo's a little bit bigger, but Steve Smith was a short guy. I'm not as high on Burden as a lot of people. I might have took Jaden Higgins here, but all the same, I think with Jacoby Myers and Brock Bowers, and you get Burden to go with that, he's going to be all right, and he's going to be able to help that Oakland offense. I just think he needs to develop some more, and I think Vegas would be happy to have him here, though, because you get to stick him with Geno, and you still got an offensive lineman in the first round. Or you got Genty in the first round. So you got your running back, and now you got a receiver, and you're building up that offense because Pete Carroll wants to score some points. Don't fool yourself. On to number 38, New England Patriots, back on the clock. First round, they took Will Campbell after the top three players were off the board, or I should say top two probably on their list. They weren't looking at quarterback, but with Abdul and Hunter being gone, Carter and Hunter being gone, they went ahead and took what they were talking about, getting that left tackle Will Campbell. Well, now back on the clock, they're going to help that defensive out. They're going to get Donovan Izaruaku, defensive end out of Boston College. Some people are higher on this guy than me, but I think that he does have plenty of talent. There might be a couple guys I draft ahead of him, especially at this position for me. I might have took Travion Henderson here for New England if I was running New England and just get a running back that's talented as hell. But they definitely could have went a couple different routes, but they helped their defense out, getting Ruaku, and we move on to number 39. And it's about to get exciting for Chicago here. They got 2 picks in the next 3 picks. And I did something here that I think Chicago should do, even if it's not these specific players. I think if one of these players is here, they should be considering this move over the next 2 picks. But with the first pick, we're going to give him Omarion Hampton. It's time for him to go. Definitely could have went earlier, maybe even Buffalo, KC, but I'm going to give him to Chicago here in the second round, pick 39, Omarion Hampton out of North Carolina. Stud running back. He's number 3 on my board. I got Travion as number 2, Omarion as number 3. But either way, Chicago's going to be happy to get them a stud running back here. And the Saints are on the clock now. The Saints bypassed getting a quarterback at 9, and they took the offensive tackle, Josh Simmons. In the second round, they're going to build up that defensive line. And they're going to go Tyleik Williams, defensive tackle out of Ohio State. He is a big, strong man. He's number 5 on my board at defensive tackle. And to get him here at the beginning of the second round, a few picks in, is an excellent draft pick for the Saints who are trying to build their team back up. And especially at cheaper prices because they ain't got a lot of money. And for them to continue to build the trenches, if Derek Carr's healthy, great. If not, maybe to grab one of these other guys in a later round. But right now, I'm doing what I think they should do, what I think they could do, which is start building this team back up. And that's what they got to do by building the trenches back up. You want to be a successful football team, you got to have offensive and defensive line. And getting these two guys between Simmons and Williams is going to help the Saints a lot in football. Chicago back on the clock. So when I said before, I did something here that I think would be an excellent move for them. They took Amari and Hampton with the first pick here in the second round with pick 39. And the Saints got Tyreek Williams. And Chicago is going to take Travion Henderson. Because Ben Johnson did just come from Detroit. And I know they got DeAndre Swift. I don't see DeAndre Swift being on this damn team. And if you got the chance to get Omari and Hampton and Travion Henderson and build your David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs stack in the second round, you got a good defense already. You built up your offensive line. You got Odunze and DJ Moore and Cole Kmet at receiving options. And now you have two stud fucking running backs to run the offense that you want to run. You let Omari and Hampton be the pounder. You let Travion Henderson be that home run hitter. Because that's exactly what the fuck he is. If I was Chicago, this would be a mind-blowing dream scenario if I could get both of these guys right here in the second round. And it would probably shock the fucking league if it happened. It wouldn't shock me, though, because this is exactly what the fuck I would do if I had the opportunity. So Omari Hampton and Travion Henderson, they got the right tackle in the first round with Kelvin Banks. They got 5 square off. Like Ben Johnson ain't got no excuses. Caleb Williams ain't got no excuses. If they don't score 25 to 30 points a game, everybody's got to go in the next 2 years, dude. Everybody. But you give me Omari and Hampton and Travion Henderson in my new backfield for the Chicago Bears, I'd be fucking pissed because I'm a Lions fan. But as a football fan, I think this is a golden 5-star, whatever fucking ranking you want to put it on, top-notch fucking move. And I was excited. I was like, ooh. When I drafted Amari Hampton, I was like, no brainer. Then I had the Saints. I was like, man, they need to help something out. And I don't think they're taking quarterback here. And I got back to the Bears and I realized Travion Henderson's still on the board. Holy shit. If they could get Hampton, and even if they did this with Judkins and Henderson or Caleb Johnson from Iowa and Henderson. Henderson's a special one to me. The home run hitter special one. If you could get any of those power backs to go with them, like I said, if you get Amari Hampton and Travion Henderson together, you might just win the draft. But I think Chicago would shock the world if they did this, and I think it would be one of the best moves I've seen in the draft in a long time. So, on to number 42, New York Jets. The Jets are back on the board. They took the safety after trading back to 15 or 14. Or was it 14 with the Colts? Yeah. So they dropped back, drafted Nick Emanwari, and now we're going to keep adding that defense because at the end of the day, there's not an offensive player here that they need. They could draft a lineman maybe, but I think Aaron Glenn's going to come in and try to make sure he doesn't have the issues he had the first couple years in Detroit. And they're going to draft TJ Sanders, defensive tackle out of South Carolina. Another one of those big, strong men, man. This dude is ferocious. And for them to add that to that defense they already have, along with the Emanwari, they're getting guys that are physical, tough, hard-hitting people on this team. And Aaron Glenn's going to be out there trying to set the tone. And with that note, we're going to go ahead and move on to the New York Giants. They got this pick in the San Fran trade in the first round when San Fran went up to get Abdul Carter. Well, the Giants are now going to get one of the offensive linemen, and that's Gray Zabel, who some people have going as high as 15, 16 in the first round to get him here in the second round, which is probably realistically for me more where he should go. But out of North Dakota, South Dakota, I forget where the hell he's from. But all the same, Gray Zabel, he can play tackle, he can play guard. He might be able to play center, honestly. But the Giants definitely need some help on that offensive line. They get it right here with Gray Zabel, and we move on to the next pick, who is the Dallas Cowboys, their division rival. Dallas, what did they do in the first round? Took Derek Harmon, defensive tackle, out of Oregon. What are they going to do in the second round? Everybody's like, draft a receiver. Hurry. They're running out. Draft a running back. We got to have one. Dallas goes, no, we're going to go ahead and draft Ariante Ursary, a tackle out of Minnesota, who I think it was McShay was talking about he could be the best tackle in this draft. Now, I don't feel that as strongly about him, but I do think he's a damn good player who needs some time to develop. And you get him there in Dallas. I don't know how good Dallas is going to be next year as far as dominant offense, but I do know they need offensive linemen. They've had another team had a guy retire, 2 guys retire, I forget how many, but definitely lost some talent on that offensive line, and they replaced some of it here with Ursary out of Minnesota. Number 46, or 45, Indianapolis, finally back on the clock. They got Tyler Warren with the big trade up. And here they're going to help out that offensive line after getting Tyler Warren. They need to replace some of those guys they lost with Ryan Kelly and Will Freeze to Minnesota. And they're going to get Donovan Jackson, tackle/guard out of Ohio State. Another one of those guys that can play any position on the line. He can probably play center if they need him to. He filled in for Simmons after Simmons went out last year at left tackle. So he's got the capability, man, to play any position across the line. There's a good chance he goes higher than this. He could go in the end of the first round, high as maybe like 25, 26. And for Dallas or for Indianapolis to get him here to help replace some of those guys, they're helping out Anthony Richardson again, which is exactly what they need. They get him a tight end, they get him a weapon. Now they get him some offensive line to protect his ass, give him some time back there, let him decipher what's going on. But definitely good move by the Colts here. And we move on to number 46. That's Atlanta. Atlanta is going to try to probably keep working on that defense. They definitely had a couple out. They could draft one of these receivers, go to get Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel, something like that. But I got them taking Benjamin Morrison, cornerback out of Notre Dame, who, like I just said in our cornerback rankings video, I think he was number 8 on my list. This guy's a hell of a corner. Doesn't even know how healthy he is. He's coming off a torn ACL, but he's a playmaker, man. Him and Xavier Watts made a shit ton of plays. I think Morrison was the one that had 9 picks in the first 2 years at Notre Dame before he got hurt last year. So, turnover machine, man. Hell of a player. To get him here in the second round, middle of the second round, and could have been a first-round pick if been healthy, didn't have a torn ACL. I don't think Atlanta's going to be disappointed at all. And they're going to keep on moving on. They've improved their defense with 2 solid picks. And we move on to number 47, Arizona. So they're going to take a guy I just mentioned and help out that offense, help out Kyler Murray. I know they just re-signed Greg Dortch. They got Marvin Harrison last year in the draft. They got the stud Trey McBride, the catch machine. Well, they're going to go ahead and add Jalen Noel, who I have compared similar to Amon-Ra St. Brown with his route running, his physicality. I love this kid. Think he's amazing. Wide receiver out of Iowa State. Ohio. That's a new one. Iowa State is where he played ball. Target machine, man. Catch machine. I love this kid a lot. In and out of breaks real quick. And give Kyler another weapon. Help him out some as much as you can because the offense just needs consistent players right now, man. If they would have had one more guy last year, I think it would have helped take pressure off of Marvin Harrison and would have opened up that offense more. Now, they get one here with Jalen Noel. He's going to work those underneath with McBride and let Harrison get deep. But Noel's got downfield speed too, so don't fool yourself. I just like the kid a lot, and I think it would help Arizona to pick him here. On to Miami, number 48. Miami got Tyler Booker in the first round after the trade down to 19. Stud guard. Well, they're going to get another offensive lineman here with Wyatt Millum. Guard tackle out of West Virginia. He might be able to play center too, but I think he's going to play playing guard. But you never know what's going to happen with Miami. They're going to shift some people around. If they just got their 2 interior guards, maybe a center instead. Great for Miami. Like I said, they got to get that offensive line built back up. They got to keep 2 upright, open some holes. But getting him here, number 48, good solid pick. This is a similar spot to where he went last time. I think he went a little bit later, maybe into the 50s, but definitely a player that I think is a nasty little guard. He's going to be a physical, tough player, good offensive lineman for quite some time in NFL. On to number 49, we got Cincinnati. They went with Mike Green, defensive end, out of Marshall in the first round. They're going to keep building that defense because there's one thing we all know. They probably had the worst fucking defense last year in the NFL. And even with those defensive ends, but they were terrible, man. Cincinnati might have went to the Super Bowl if they had some talent on defense. So they're going to get some talent on defense here. They're going to take Andrew Mukuba, safety out of Texas. He's number 6 on my board at safety, number 5, something like that. I forget, but definitely a hell of a player. Got it. I think he's going to go somewhere around into the second round, beginning of the third round. For Cincinnati to get him here, help out that defense. They need players all over that defense. So getting a good safety, good solid safety you can count on back there to go with that pass rusher you drafted earlier. You're off to the right foot on trying to fix that defense. And we move on to number 50. Seattle Seahawks are on the clock. Now, Seattle drafted Colston Loveland in the first round, tight end out of Michigan to help out Sam Darnold. They're going to keep helping out Sam Darnold. And they're going to draft Jaden Higgins, wide receiver out of Iowa State, the other guy from Iowa State, who could end up being Mike Evans, could end up being Kenny Galladay, but I like this guy a lot. Like him a lot. He's a big physical receiver. Not top flight speed. I think he ran like a 4.54, 4.52, something like that. But one hell of a receiver, man. Hell of a receiver. And with JSN and Loveland and Kenny Walker out the backfield, and now Jaden Higgins, Seattle's rebuilt their offense awfully quick. And you like what you're seeing going on there. McDonald's going to handle the defense. He needs to set up this offense with good picks. And this is 2 excellent picks to help that offense out. 2 weapons, 2 guys ready to go day one. I like that a lot for them. And we move on to number 53. That's Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Back on the clock. First round, they moved up with Miami to draft the Jalen Walker, the linebacker / defensive end. Well, now they need to help the back end of that defense. They're going to take Azariah Thomas, cornerback out of Florida State University. Long guy, good in press, man-to-man, but I worry about his deep speed. I think he'd be better in zone, but definitely can play in the short part of the field on man-to-man, no problem. Like I said, just lacks a little deep speed. You're going to need some safety help over the top, possibly. Playing him maybe in a cover 2 where you always got that help over the top, you'll be all right. So that's what Tampa runs down there a lot of times, that cover 2. There's a guy that's going to walk right in and be ready to help them out. On to number 54, Green Bay Packers on the clock. First round, they took Jahdae Barron, the corner out of Texas. Now they're going to help out Jordan Love. They're not getting a receiver, but they are getting some offensive line help with Jonah Savai Naia. I forget how to say this dude's last name. But tackle out of Arizona. I think he's going to play guard. I think he's going to be a mauler of a guard. I worry about his foot speed as a tackle, but all the same, he's a big motherfucker that's going to be plowing people over. And in Green Bay with Josh Jacobs, keep the Love upright, open some holes for Jacobs. You're going to help that offense out. That's what you want to do with that. Jordan Love's still a young player, man, still working, developing, and all that other stuff. Last thing he needs to do is be having to worry about guys in his face all day. And Josh Jacobs showed you what he could do if you give him a little bit of room. Maybe if you give him a lot of room, he could do more. Savai Naia should help that out. On to number 55. The Chargers back on the clock. Like I said, Harbaugh was standing behind Goodell when he announced that first pick with his pick. Got Will Johnson, his best bud from Michigan. Well, now they're going to go get another football player out of the Big Ten, and that's Jack Sawyer, defensive end / linebacker. Going to replace Joey Bosa with this guy coming out of Ohio State. You know who this guy is if you watch college football. Like I said, hell of a football player. I mean, just tough as nails. Guy knows how to make plays all over. He's got pass breakups, interceptions, forced fumbles, defensive touchdowns. This guy is everything you're looking for. If you're looking for just a total football player, you look at football player, there's a picture of this guy standing there. Definitely a player that Harbaugh would love. Probably hated to play against a couple of years ago. Probably real fucking happy to get him on his team. And he gets to learn from Khalil Mack. So that's a good help. Moving on to number 56, Buffalo Bills. Back on the clock. The first round, they took Xavier Watts, the safety. They said, hey, let's go get us this turnover machine, this playmaking, Swiss Army knife, possible Ed Reed-style player, Brian Dawkins-style player. Or in the second round, they're going to go get them Trey Harris, wide receiver, Ole Miss. He's like, hey, man, we seen what it's like to play against physical receivers. Why don't we go get us one of these physical receivers? Young guy, still a little raw, but definitely tons of talent. does tons of upside. Getting him here towards the end of the second round is a fucking steal, man. This guy, I think, was number 6 on my board in the wide receivers. I forget. I have to go back and look. But definitely a physical, gifted receiver. Strong as hell, grown man body. That's what I talked about with him. And to help Josh Allen out, this is definitely going to be helpful with their first of 2 second-round picks. And we move on to number 57, Carolina Panthers, back on the clock. In the first round, we had them taking Armand Mimbu, the tackle out of Missouri, help that offensive line out. On the second round, we're going to have them help their defensive line out and get Kyle Kennard, defensive end. He might play linebacker, but I think you can put him a defensive end and be happy. And out of South Carolina, strong physical dude, man. I like this guy a lot, tackling machine, and going to help Carolina's defense out. Going to help any defense out, but right here they're helping Carolina's out, and they need it. On to New England at number 58, we had them take who did they take? Will Campbell and Donovan Easy Ruaku. I forget how to say his fucking name. Out of Boston College with their first 2 picks is their second round pick. And they're going to get a tight end, Mason Taylor, out of LSU. Physically gifted guy. Like I said, I don't like the mental errors I see on tape, but you can get that fixed. But Vrabel knows he needs to give Drake May some help up there. You looking for a Jimmy Graham style player, this is him. You get him to stop taking off too fucking early and keep his eye on the ball. Know the snap count. You're going to be just fine with Mason Taylor because he's got all the other gifts. Like I said, my biggest thing was the false starts, the just mental errors going on that I didn't like seeing as often. That's why I dropped him down my board on tight end. I think he's still like 6 or 7 on the board. But there's some talented tight ends in this draft that I think possibly could get drafted higher. But this freaking nature athleticism he's got is probably why he's going here. So New England gets a tight end to help out, and we move on. Who's back on the clock now? Number 59, Baltimore Ravens, back on the clock. They got Malachi Starks, my favorite guy, my favorite safety. They're going to get one of my favorite defensive ends. That's Jordan Birch, defensive end out of Oregon. Love this guy. I was hoping that Detroit could get him at the end of the second round. I think he can go as early as probably 43, 44 in the second round. But they're getting them here. 1 pick before Detroit. So they stole Malachi Starks and Jordan Birch from me, right? 1 pick before each round. And get a defensive end help. You know, Baltimore, they always build defenses. And they got another one going here. On to number 60, Detroit Lions on the clock. They could go a lot of ways here. There's a couple corners here I like. Maybe get a safety replacement for Ife Melifonwu, who went to Miami after they lost to Javon Holland. But there's definitely some guys on the clock here. Linebackers, maybe Schlesinger. But I had him take Demetrius Knight Jr., linebacker out of South Carolina. I like this guy a lot. Got him as number 5 linebacker on my board. Physical, strong tackling machine, man. And he's one of those guys that I think Dan Campbell's going to fall in love with when he sees him. Kelvin Shepard, you know, he's a former linebacker. He'd be like, Dan, let me get this guy. We're going to have some fun with him because he's a big, strong motherfucker. And to have him on that defense, I'm going to be real happy about. Number 61, Washington on the clock. Oh, wait, whoa. Phone's back up. What's going on? Who's calling? Raiders? Who is this? Spytech? Spytech, what do you want? Oh, you want to come up? All right. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. I'll do that. All right. Go ahead and send it over, buddy. No problem. Thanks. The Raiders are coming up. The Raiders have traded. Pick 68, 3rd rounder. Pick 143, 5th rounder. Pick 222, 7th rounder. And a 2026 6th rounder. 4 picks to the Washington Commanders for pick 61. So they move up 7 picks here. And 6th round pick 205. So it's a 4-for-2 trade deal. And the Raiders are coming up. Who are they coming up to get? That's the question. I give you a good idea. He played at Alabama. He scored 20 rushing touchdowns. And his name's Jalen fucking Milroe, quarterback out of Alabama, who's one of the best freakish athletes in this draft. He's got some techniques he needs to work on. He's got Geno Smith in front of him to take his time. And that's a hell of a setup. And have a special guy like this come in and sit for a year or 2 behind Geno, let him develop and break that Lamar speed out whenever you want to on those goal line plays and shit like that. I think you could have some tons of fun with him and Ken Walker at the goal line. And now they got Colston Loveland on this team as well. So Jalen Milroe. Oh, I'm sorry, not Seattle. Or no, yeah, Las Vegas. I'm sorry. Yeah. I got myself confused with Pete Carroll and Geno Smith talk. Vegas came up. They drafted Jalen Milroe to go behind Geno. So love it. Love it. Love it. Think this would be an excellent move for the Raiders right here. He's a freak. He's number 5 on my board just because he's such a freak athlete, man. He's got a cannon of an arm, Lamar speed, Jalen Hurts running style. He just needs to learn how to put touch on the ball more than anything. That's it. Learn to get through progressions a little bit faster. Learn to put some touch on the ball. I don't need a 60-yard pass 6 yards away. I need you to put some touch. Flick it out there, man. Quit trying to kill people with these passes, Jalen Milroe. You're too damn strong sometimes. So Vegas moves up to 61 with Washington. Gets Jalen Milroe, their quarterback in the future, hopefully. And we move on to Buffalo. Buffalo took Xavier Watts, turnover machine in the first round. Then they got Trey Harris, wide receiver out of Ole Miss. We're going to go back to the defensive side and get Ola Wafimi Oladejo, defensive end / linebacker out of UCLA. They got to replace Von Miller. I know I don't remember what his contract's. I think he's got cut because of the money he was making. They were talking about possibly bringing him back. But all the same, Oladejo is going to help replace that situation. This dude's got freak skills that needs to be developed. And in Buffalo, they know how to coach defensive players. That's for damn sure. So getting a guy like this late in the second round, going to be an excellent player in the NFL. Give him a year, and you're going to know this guy all the time. So we move on. Kansas City, second to last pick in the second round. What are they doing? First round, they took Walter Nolan because he shouldn't have been there in the first place. And the second round, they're going to take Quinshawn Judkins, running back out of Ohio State. 1,000-yard back last year, split time with Henderson. They both had 1,000 yards. Physical, tough running back. Another guy that fits that KC mold, man. Kareem Hunt, Isaiah Pacheco, they're both tough-ass runners. Well, now you got a tough-ass runner that could do a lot. And it's probably more talented than Pacheco and definitely more talented than what Kareem Hunt is now. Maybe when Kareem Hunt came out as a third, fourth-round pick or whatever it was, he had a lot more speed then. But Quinshawn Judkins going to Kansas City Chiefs could be dangerous. And for them to get him and Watts and be ready to keep rolling is going to only help the Chiefs out in their pursuit for another Super Bowl. On to number pick 64, Philadelphia Eagles with their second pick in this NFL mock draft. They're going to get Carson Swessinger, tackling machine of a linebacker out of UCLA. A little bit shorter arms. I don't know why I felt like he had long arms. I think I said that when I was doing the linebacker rankings, but he does have a little bit shorter arms. But tackling fucking machine all over the field, sideline to sideline, ready to go. Ready to go. Could get a little bit stronger in the lower body, but tackling machine, man. And Philly just helping out that defense again, which is just pissing me off because they're in the same conference as us, which means we're going to have to go through them. So, done with the second round. We move on to the third round. Now, I'm only doing 3 rounds just for the record, but I wanted to do some more, because especially with all these trades I've done so far, and for them to give you a little more insight on how I feel about some of these other players, where I think they're going to go, where I think they could possibly end up with teams, and what I think teams should do into this depth, and get some more picks done for you guys, because what the hell, man, we're talking about football. This will be my last mock draft before the fantasy season, and this is just for the regular NFL football, which I love watching anyway. So pick number 65, Giants are on the clock. They have drafted Emeka Egbuka, Travis Hunter, and who else did they get? I thought they had another pick. Oh, yeah, Gray Zabel, offensive lineman. Now they're going to help out that defense and get JTT, a.k.a. JT Tui Moa Luau, I think is how you say it, defensive end out of Ohio State. This guy's a little bit of a development project, but a hell of a football player. Love this guy. Love everything I'm seeing on him. Like I said, I think he needs to develop a little more. You give this guy a year. You got Thibodeau there. You figure out what you want to do with him. this could be his fucking replacement if you decide to trade him, decide to let him go, whatever you want to do with it. But all the same, JTT is going to be a answer for you. I promise you that. And it helps that defense out this year and for the going future years. I don't think he's going to be a full-time starter this year. I think he's going to be a part-time player as he develops more skills as far as pass rush goes. But against the run, excellent. And this guy's got a fire inside of him, man. So good player. First pick of this third round. I like it a lot. Kansas City back on the clock. 3 picks later. They just wrapped up with a 63 towards the end of the second round. Now they're here at 66. And they're going to draft reception specialist Harold Fannin Jr., tight end out of Bowling Green. First mock draft, I had him go to 32 at Philly in case they trade Goddard or just plan on letting him go after next year. But I think Fannin's going around one of these teams right now. And for Kansas City to have this quick turnaround right here with the end of the second, beginning of the third, for them to get Harold Fannin Jr. here, possible future replacement for Travis Kelce, reception specialist, so Andy Reid's going to know how to use him. You ain't got to worry about that. Excuse me. But dude had, I think, like 117 catches last year, 114 catches like that or something in Bowling Green. Just a freak athlete, man, running downfield. Kyle Pitts style player, but seems like he's got a hell of a lot better hands. So Kansas City continues to build that team up. We move on to Cleveland. Back on the clock at 67. We had them take Travis Hunter in the first round, trade up to get Jackson Dart in the first round, Minnesota. And they're back on the clock here. We know Nick Chubb had a serious injury last year. And I don't know if they're going to bring him back or not, man. It's still kind of debatable. I think they're going to see what happens in this draft. And this could be part of the answer because they're drafting Caleb Johnson, one of my favorite running backs. I think he's number 4 on my list out of Iowa. Hell of a running back. Love this guy. He's got long speed, man. He's got capabilities to do things with a football. And I think more importantly, he's reliable as shit. He's consistent as shit. You can trust this guy's going to do his fucking job. Caleb Johnson is one of I had him going in the second round in my first mock draft, but I think some of these other running backs have jumped up ahead of him. I think some of these defensive players are going to end up going maybe a little bit ahead of them. But for Cleveland to get him here at the beginning of the third, steal in my mind. It's a steal. I think Cleveland's doing some good things in this draft, trying to fix their problems that they created. But, hey, when you spill your milk, somebody's got to wipe that shit up. Might as well be the person that spilled it. So they do that with Caleb Johnson here, and we move on to number 68. Washington Commanders. They just made that trade with Las Vegas where Las Vegas came up to get Jalen Milroe. So the Commanders are now on the clock. Commanders got a lot of options they can do here, but I made this pretty simple with Zach Ertz getting older. I know they drafted the senator last year, but I don't think they'll be able to pass up Elijah Arroyo at this point because I think he's ready to go and could be very helpful in 2 tight end sets with Ertz and Arroyo for Jaden Daniels. And you get a guy like this right here with the receiving skills he's got, let him learn behind Ertz for a year, then let him take over. I think it's a great setup for Arroyo. I think it's a great setup for Washington. So they move on with that tight end. We move on to number 69, New England Patriots, back on the clock. They've done a lot of things here. Got some offensive linemen, defensive linemen, got a tight end. Let's go ahead and give him a receiver here with Alec Ayomaner, wide receiver out of Stanford. Like this guy a lot. He might take a year to fully develop into what you want him to be, but think he can help out a team early into the season, 4 or 5 weeks into the season. I think you could be counting on this guy and let him keep getting better on the field. You need some talent up there at receiver. This is some talent. Between him and Mason Taylor, I think you just help Drake May out a lot. And you get a reliable receiver out here, like I said. Like this guy a lot, and Drake May should be falling in love with this guy real quick. On to number 70, Jacksonville. Jacksonville's been helping out their defense. They drafted Trey Amos. They drafted Mason Graham. Guess what? We're going defense again, man. Kevin Winston Jr., safety out of Penn State. I like this guy a lot, man. Long, lanky ball hawk. This guy is fast as shit and is a tackling fucking machine. Once again, like I said with Jacksonville, Trey Amos, Mason Graham, they need people that can tackle because they failed to do that quite often last year. They got a couple good defensive players, and they got a bunch of fucking bums they got to replace, and they're doing a good job of here in the first 3 rounds. like what Jacksonville's doing. I'm sure they'll start drafting small offensive players here, maybe the receiver to go along there after trading Kirk away. But getting Winston, Amos, and Mason Graham, I think Jacksonville's hit 3 awesome picks here in the first 3 rounds. And we move on to number 71, the Saints. Saints passed up quarterback in the first round, passed up quarterback in the second round, helping out their trenches. Well, now they're going to get their quarterback. The guy that I think, if would have been healthy, would be a top 10 pick. He's number 4 on the board just because of the injury concerns. But you want somebody that you could start if Derek Carr can't start. This is the guy. That's Tyler Shuck, quarterback out of Louisville. Now, he's had his own injury concerns, so maybe it's fate, man. Maybe it's meant to be. Maybe he'll get healthy and Derek Carr will fall apart. We don't know. Maybe they got some magic ball. Both healthy. Maybe they're both hurt. But I love Tyler Shuck's skills, his capabilities, man. The injuries with the broken clavicles and the broken fibula was on like a hip drop tackle. But obviously you get tackled in the NFL, so still a concern. And broken bones are always a concern when there's multiples. So you see why he's fallen here to the 3rd round pick. But at the end of the day, Tyler Shuck's a damn good quarterback, man. And you got the tackle in the first round because you know you're drafting a guy you need to keep upright. And to get Tyler Shuck here, give him a year behind Carr or 6 to 8 games at most. And if Carr ain't ready, man, put this guy in, period. Let him start playing. That's all there is to it. You draft him as a 3rd round pick. You hope you give him a year with Derek Carr. But if you don't, I still think his play action capability is impeccable. So that's the biggest thing in NFL you could do as a young quarterback is be able to play from under center and be able to work the play action. With Alvin Kamara, shit. I think this guy could be set up for success going down there. You got Kellen Moore. He knows how to protect the quarterback, man. He knows what the hell he's doing. And getting Tyler Shuck here at number 71 is a steal. A plain steal, man. Like I said, this dude could be a 1st round pick if he'd have been healthy his whole career. So move on to number 72. Chicago's Bears are back on the clock. They did the double up running back in the 2nd round, which I fucking hate and love at the same time. They got the offensive lineman in the 1st round. Now they're going to get a defensive lineman. They're going to get Josiah Stewart, defensive end out of Michigan. I think he's got a lot of physical gifts that once developed, he could definitely be helping the Chicago Bears defense out. So they've been all over, man. They're making moves out here, the Bears are, trying to help their team out. They built that offensive line now, got the stud running backs. Now they're helping out that defense. And we move on to number 73, pick 73, the New York Jets back on the clock. AG got himself a safety. AG got himself a defensive tackle. And now he's going to get himself a cornerback. Noel Williams, one of my absolute favorite players, late risers up the board, but just special to me. Man-to-man corner, you put him in sauce out there with that safety in the back end. Oh, it's going to be pretty for the Jets defense. Noel Williams is a cornerback for California, and love it. He's like 5'11", I think it is, but everything about this dude I love, man. Just absolutely love. And to get him here in the 3rd round, I think he could be a 2nd round pick, no problem. So to get him here in the 3rd is a steal for the Jets. AG gets him a nice corner. Go with that safety draft. You know he's a DB, former DB. And we move on to Carolina, back on the clock. Carolina's got some options, but I'm going to make it nice and simple. Chris Paul Jr., linebacker out of Ole Miss. Get a guy that is great in coverage. Could probably gain a little 10, 15 pounds, get a little bit stronger, improve breakdowns on tackles, but good speed, man. Excellent in coverage. Guy that they could definitely use on that defense. So you get another defensive player to go with Carolina, help that team out. We move on to San Francisco, who moved up, big move in the 1st round to go get Abdul Carter. Didn't have a pick in the 2nd round, but they got a couple here in the 3rd. And they're going to start that off by getting Omar Norman Lott, defensive tackle out of Tennessee. I think he was number 11 on my board, number 12 on my board. I forget what it was, maybe number 13. All the same, hell of a player, hell of a football player. This guy needs to get a little bit stronger in the lower body and get a little bit better hands, using those hands. So, guy that's you ain't gonna have to worry about learning San Fran, man. Especially getting Robert Saleh back there as a defensive coordinator and stuff. So he knows what he's doing in coaching defense. He might not know how to coach offense with Aaron Rodgers, but there's not many people that know how to deal with Aaron Rodgers. So He gets himself a defensive player here for that San Fran defense, and we move on. Number 76, Dallas Cowboys, back on the clock. Dallas drafted offensive line, defensive line. We're going to get him a linebacker here. We're going to give him Barrett Carter, linebacker out of Clemson. He's number 3 on my board, man. I like this guy a lot. I think he's definitely could get drafted in the second round. But for Dallas to get him here, it's pick 76 in the third, was his 12th pick or whatever. In the third round, excellent pick. And get back on the clock with New England back on the clock again. Gonna keep helping that defense. Get a guy that I think is a freakish athlete for playing defensive tackle as J.J. Pegues out of Ole Miss. Guy who took like 21 carries last year for like 60 yards and 6 touchdowns or some shit. It was something ridiculous. But just a freak athlete, man. And Mike Vrabel knows what to do with freak athletes. So you get this guy to go there with that defense. They've already improved their offensive weapons. Now they're getting some more defensive capability or defensive help. And I think Vrabel will be happy with him. On number 78, Arizona Cardinals, back on the clock. So they got Jahad Campbell in the first round, wide receiver Jalen Noel in the second round. Now they're going to come back to the defensive side of the ball and get Jared Ivey, defensive end out of Ole Miss, right next to his buddy J.J. Pegues. Back-to-back Ole Miss players. Jared Ivey's a run-stopping defensive end. He's going to improve on his pass rush, but I have no questions about his ability to stop the run. And to get him here in the third round, another good, solid pick. Like I said, man, there's so many defensive linemen that these guys are going to fall and people are going to get steals throughout the draft. So Arizona gets one here. We move on to Houston at number 79. Texans back on the clock. Texans got a really solid defense. I thought about giving him a corner safety here and thought about giving him another offensive lineman here. But I'm going to give him possibly a future replacement for Joe Mixon in Cam Scatterbo. Running back out of Arizona State. A lot of debate where this guy is going to go. Is he going to go in the second round? Is he going to go in the fourth round? I put him here in the third round to a team that could use a backup running back and to a team that could use another weapon, man. Scatterbo is a hell of a little weapon for them to have, and tough as nails, tackle breaker, and relieve Mixon for a year, then let Scatterbo take over. I like the plan that they got it going on here in my mind. So back on the clock is the New York Jets. With that draft they did with Indy, they ended up getting this third-round pick 80, and they're going to help out the offense now. They've been drafting defense. Well, let's get them a 1,000-yard receiver in Kyle Williams. Wide receiver out of Washington State. I think he was at Oregon before that. I forget. But all the same, this guy's got a lot of talents you like on the field, man. And to get him here in the third round, guy that had, I think, 90-some catches, almost 100 catches, and tons of talent, tons of speed, great hands, and can fly, man. So get another weapon to go there for that offense. Get a guy Justin Fields can wing it down the field too while Gary Wilson's working in the middle, and help out Aaron Glenn, man, that offense, and Engstrom, the OC, help out Justin Fields. On to number 81, Cincinnati back on the clock. Let's make it easy. Let's get him some defensive help. Danny Stutzman, linebacker out of Oklahoma. Tackling machine. That's all there is to say about this guy. I think he had over 100 tackles last year. Just solid, man. Solid fucking tackler all over the field, sideline to sideline capability. Pick 82, Seattle on the clock. They made some good moves around here. They're going to make one more good one here with Charles Grant, tackle out of William and Mary. Guy I watched some late tape on. He can play left tackle. He can play right tackle. At the end of the day, he can play offensive line in the NFL, and that's what you're hoping for here, especially in the late third-round pick to get a guy that can start probably day one and be ready to go. Charles Grant's a late riser out of William. He played in a smaller school, William and Mary, but everything on tape tells you this guy can play football in the NFL. And for Seattle, they need some offensive line help, and they're getting it here. Pittsburgh on the clock. Number 83 draft pick. They waited a long time to do it, but here it is. Quarterback Will Howard out of Ohio State. National champion. Got some legs. Got an arm. He's got some things that he's further down on my board. I think he was number 6 on the board for me. but talented player and tons of moxie, tons of confidence, tons of ability to perform under pressure. So for Pittsburgh to get them a quarterback here in the third round, they could possibly start day one for them. And if they sign Rodgers, this is his perfect backup. I've already said that with his decent running capability and pocket presence and pocket awareness, ability to read the offense. So if he could learn for a year from Rodgers, I hope it'd be a good thing. But if not, here they are. They got Will Howard in third round, and they'll start him day one. Fuck it. Let them do it. On an 84, Miami via Tampa Bay with that trade they made earlier in the first round. Miami's going to get some defensive help with Landon Jackson, defensive end in Arkansas. Great tackler, good, really good off the edge. Needs to improve some lower body strength. But other than that, guy that you're going to be happy to have. Another one of those, like I said, guys just going to drop because of the depth in the defensive line. And this is another one of those guys. Denver, number 85, on the clock. They've done some things with the offense. Now it's time to help out that defense with Alfred Collins, defensive tackle out of Texas. Big physical player. Could be higher in other drafts. But like I said, defensive line is so deep this year. I'm just going to keep – I know it's a repetitive statement, so I'll try to quit saying it as much. But just a guy to help out Denver's defensive line, help out those linebackers come free. And we move on to number 86, the LA Chargers. Wait a second. Hello? Wait, got it upside down. Oh, no. Hello. Oh, hey. Hey, brother, John, what's going on? It's Jim. Hey. Hey, what do you want? Oh, really? You willing to do that? Oh, yeah, let's do it. I need one anyways. All right, send it over. And the Hardboiled Boys are making a trade. Mark Andrews traded to the Chargers for third round pick 86, a 2026 fourth round pick for Mark Andrews and a 2026 fifth round pick. Hardballs make a deal. Andrews gets a new team. Justin Herbert gets a new weapon. And Isaiah Likely is set loose for the Baltimore Ravens. I think everybody here is happy. And we move on to Green Bay. Pick 87, helping that defensive out, getting a guy I like a lot, Deion Walker. Defensive tackle, defensive end to 3-4. But defensive tackle out of Kentucky, man. This guy's a hell of a player. Going to be a good player in the NFL. I'm not going to dive too much into him because we are getting towards the end of the third round and trying to get this video over at some point. But Deion Walker's a hell of a football player. I think he was number 9, 10 on my list at defensive end. And guy I'm not going to be happy to see on a division opponent's team. 88, Jacksonville. Said they helped out their defense with a handful of picks. They helped out their offense. I think we got them a wide receiver there. But right now, we're going to get them a tight end. And that tight end's name is Terrence Ferguson out of LSU. Terrence Ferguson, tight end out of Oregon. He's number 3 on my list, man. I like this guy a lot. Over Fannin, over Mason Taylor, over those guys. I like Terrence Ferguson. He is a weapon. And to get a weapon here at pick 88 for Jacksonville, who needs it? I know they got Brenton Strange. That's fine. He can be your normal inline tight end. Terrence Ferguson's a weapon. You're going to put him all over the field. And he's going to be successful for you. You can go help Trevor Lawrence out a lot. So Jacksonville gets a weapon. We move on to Houston, who's back on the clock. Hey, let's keep helping out that defense. If there's one thing D'Amico Ryans love is defense. And to get Shamar Turner here, defensive tackle out of Texas A&M, I thought about going up there where Alfred Collins went to Denver, but I like what Shamar Turner does here for Houston. And to get him out of Texas A&M, defensive tackle towards the end of the third round, excellent pick. Excellent pick. We move on. We talk about something else. Like the Rams, who are here at pick 90. Who, like I said, I thought thought about drafting a quarterback earlier. They didn't get it the right timing, whatever you want to say. So they're going to help that defense out some more and get Jack Kaiser, middle linebacker out of Notre Dame, tackling sideline to sideline machine. Hell of a football player. Hell of a football player. If linebackers are valued more, he'd probably be a second-round pick. Hell, he might still be a second-round pick with his tackling capabilities. But like this guy a lot. Think he's got some another guy maybe get a little bit stronger lower body strength, but Guy that Rams would be happy to have behind that defensive line they've built up because he's going to be running free. On to number 91, Baltimore, back on the clock. Thought about giving them a running back here, but decided to go with fourth safety on my list. One of my late riders, one of my favorite guys in this draft. There wasn't for Malachi Starks, he'd be my favorite safety. That's Jonas Sanker, safety out of Virginia. This guy's everything you want, period. To get him here at the end of the third round, when I think he's going to go at the end of the second or should go at the end of the second, is amazing. And Baltimore continues to build up. They just let Hamilton do whatever the hell he wants because they got Sanker, they got Malachi, and both of those guys can play, cover the slots, cover tight ends, do whatever you want. They're just out there putting out defensive pieces. And I like this a lot with what they're doing. Seattle traded this pick in the trade with the Giants earlier. So the Giants are on the clock. You know what they need? Some defense. And they're going to get my number 10 corner on the board, Mello Dotson out of Kansas. Long physical player. He ran like a 4.58, 4.59, so he's a little bit slower. Probably going to be better in zone. Hell of a tackler, though. Love tackling corners. Giants are going to love this guy, too. That's all there is to it. Number 93, New Orleans on the clock. Saw they got Tyler Shuck earlier. Finally got a quarterback, but now they're going to get some more help for that offense and a possible future replacement for Alvin Kamara, and that's R.J. Harvey. Running back out of UCF. I told you, this guy reminds me of Brian Westbrook a little bit. Old running back for the Eagles. And tons of capability, physical gifts, shifty. Just a guy to have, and the Saints would probably be real happy to have him backing up Kamara and hopefully the future replacement for Kamara. So, Cleveland. Oh, nope, this is Cleveland's original pick. Minnesota's back on the clock. This is part of that trade with Cleveland earlier when Cleveland moved up to 24 and Minnesota dropped back to 33. So Minnesota's back on the clock. They're going to get safety Latham Ransom out of Ohio State. Hard-hitting safety, good cover skills, hell of a player. Just safety. There's only so many spots in the draft we can get guys, but be real happy to have Latham Ransom right here for Minnesota. Kansas City on the clock again, 95. Let's make this easy. Junior Taifuna, defensive tackle out of Utah. Up and coming superstar in my mind. This guy could be a superstar if he gets developed by the right team. Kansas City's one of those teams. He can play defensive end, defensive tackle, just a hell of a football player, ready to go. And they need to replace some depth on that defensive line that they've lost. So they've already got one guy. Now they got another here with Taifuna, and we move on. Pick 96, Philadelphia. Now this is the end of the original third round. Then we got the compensatory picks. We got 6 of those. So Philly back on the clock. They've already made a couple awesome picks. Now they're going to add to their wide receiver core and get Dante Thornton, wide receiver out of Tennessee, freak athlete. A.J. Brown, freak speed, athleticism, strength. So they might be a replacement for A.J. Brown. There's a bunch of talk about it. Can he go to the Patriots in a trade? I don't know. But what I do know is they get Dante Thornton here. They got another physical receiver that can run down the field fast as shit. No questions asked. Tennessee messed up by not using him more. Quarterback play was a little bit of that issue, but Thornton's sky's the limit with this guy to me. So we move on to number 97, Minnesota, back on the clock again. They're going to help their defense again, too. They're going to get linebacker Kobe King out of Penn State. Guy I like a lot. I think I had him at number 8 on my board as a linebacker. But guy I like a lot. Just a hell of a football player. Minnesota improves their defense. And we move on to pick number 98, Miami, back on the clock. Now, you want to talk about a tackling machine all over the field? This is the guy. Teddy with an E, Buchanan. He don't play. This guy is a tackling fucking machine. Coming out of Cal, right? I think that's where you went. Shit, I don't remember. All the same. Teddy Buchanan is a tackling machine, though, and Miami's going to be happy as hell because they need some tacklers. That's all there is to it. Part of the problems last year was defense. So they need to improve that shit. This is going to help that cause. 99. Let's talk about that new quarterback again. And get him Jack Beck, wide receiver out of TCU. They've built up the offense now. Don't want to hear shit. You got a ton of receiving weapons now all of a sudden because they are not playing. They give you outside receivers, slot receivers, tight ends. Let's see what you can do. San Francisco on the board. They got 9 compensatory picks every year for some odd reason, but all the same, this is pick 100, and they're going to take Xavier Restrepo. Kind of a helpful replacement for Debo as a weapon style player. I think he can do a lot for that offense, and to get him here at the pick 100, it's an awesome steal. I know the 40 time is concerned. If you watch football, you know that 40 time ain't the same as what he looks like on the field. So getting Restrepo here at 100 is an excellent pick for San Fran and Kyle Shanahan. Pick 101, the Rams are on the board, and the Rams are drafting quarterback Kyle McCord out of Syracuse. Matt Stafford, future replacement. McCord's a hell of a lot higher than the rest of these guys on my board, but I don't know why people don't like him, man. I like him a lot. I think he's a talented kid. I think this is a perfect situation where you sit behind Stafford and with Sean McVay as your head coach. Whew, if you can't succeed here, brother, I don't know where you can. But I like McCord a lot. I think he's a talented kid that is getting a bad rap. And if you'd have been Ohio State this year, they still would have won a damn national championship in my mind. So, in the last pick of the third round, pick 102, the Detroit Lions. Let's improve that defense some more, guys. Anzalone's getting older. Barnes is coming off an injury. Rodrigo never really developed into exactly what we needed. So we're going to get Jamon Dumas Johnson, linebacker out of Kentucky, and one hell of a tackling machine. Football player. Got cover skills, physical, good blitzer, well-timed blitzer. Just a capable player here, and I'll be happy to have him on the Detroit Lions. That's all I can tell you. But other than that, guys, that wraps up our 3-round mock draft final episode of NFL draft coverage before the 2025 NFL draft on Thursday. I hope you guys have a good evening, afternoon, morning, whatever time you're watching. Until next time, can't wait till the NFL draft, guys. Hope you guys have a good day, man. I'm out.